I first knew something was wrong when I noticed a faint flicker of red light dancing across my living room window. It was nearly 2 a.m., the street outside dead silent, except for the sound of sirens growing louder by the second. Curious and, uneasy, I stepped outside. That's when I saw it. My driveway awash in flashing red and blue lights, officers fanning out, surrounding none other than Karen Mitchell, our HOA president. She stood frozen, hands stained with red spray paint, eyes darting like a cornered animal, and there, across the hood of my brand-new Mercedes, was an angry mess of vulgar words, dripping fresh paint in the glow of the police lights. Karen's voice cracked as she stammered through excuse after excuse, but I didn't have to argue. My phone was already in hand, its screen playing back crystal-clear security footage of exactly what she'd done. 3 weeks earlier, life had been a lot calmer. I had just picked up the car I'd been dreaming of since college, a sleek, black Mercedes S-Class. Years of grinding away at the law firm, burning midnight oil over contracts, and clawing my way up the ladder had finally paid off. My old Honda Civic had been reliable, sure, but this was a reward. That first morning, I parked it in my driveway and just stood there for 10 whole minutes, soaking in the moment. The sun hit the flawless paint just right, and for once, I felt like I'd made it. The peace didn't last. By midday, I found a folded note tucked under my windshield wiper, official HOA letterhead. It accused my vehicle of being too ostentatious for our modest community, claiming it disrupted the neighborhood's aesthetic values. Signed, of course, in a flourish of purple ink, Karen Mitchell. I laughed at first. Our bylaws didn't say a word about luxury cars, only that vehicles had to be clean, properly parked, and in working order. But the notes kept coming. One claimed I was parked 3 inches over my property line. Another insisted my tinted windows posed a security risk. Then came a violation notice with a $200 fine for what Karen called excessive vehicle shine, saying it distracted other drivers. That's when it clicked. This wasn't about the rules. This was personal. My neighbor Tom confirmed it. One evening, while I checked my mailbox, he sidled over like we were exchanging state secrets. Karen, he said, had been going door to door, collecting signatures to ban luxury vehicles. She told people my car made their homes look cheap and would lower property values. Most neighbors refused to sign. But Karen didn't stop. Soon, strange things started happening. Tiny scratches appeared on my doors. My car alarm blared at exactly 3 a.m., multiple nights in a row. Once I even caught Karen pacing my driveway, snapping photos from every angle and muttering about documenting evidence. When I asked what she was doing, she flashed a fake smile and said it was for the board. Everything boiled over on a Tuesday night. I was at my desk reviewing case files when I heard it. A long metallic scrape, then the sharp pop of shattering glass. Seconds later, my phone buzzed with a security alert. I pulled up the live feed, and there she was, Karen, dressed head to toe in black, dragging a key along the side of my car, moving with cold, methodical focus. From her purse, she produced a spray paint can and started tagging my hood with profanity. Her face twisted into that same smug grin she wore at HOA meetings. When she finished, she picked up a brick from my own garden and smashed the rear windshield. The sound rang down the empty street. I didn't rush out. Instead, I hit record, downloaded the footage, and calmly called 911. When the dispatcher asked, I said, "Yes, someone is actively vandalizing my car. They told me officers were nearby." Outside, Karen was now jabbing at my tires with a kitchen knife, but then, sirens. Her head snapped toward the sound. She dropped the knife, shoved the paint can back into her purse, and made a break for her. Golf cart. She didn't get far. A cruiser turned the corner, lights blazing, blocking her in. I stepped out, phone in hand, and greeted the officers. Karen jumped in, claiming she was conducting a neighborhood inspection. The lead officer held up a hand, silencing her while they reviewed my footage. When they finished, the truth was undeniable. Karen, dressed like a burglar, laughing as she destroyed my car. The officer informed her she was under arrest for criminal mischief and felony destruction of property. Damages? Over $10,000. Karen panicked, shouting about her rights and demanding to call her husband, a tax attorney who, as it turned out, had no interest in representing her. By morning, footage of her being led away in cuffs was all over. The neighborhood Facebook group captioned, "HOA president has meltdown over car." The comments were full of people sharing their own Karen horror stories. At her arraignment, Karen actually tried to argue she was acting in the best interests of the community. The judge chuckled when she claimed HOA presidents had immunity. In matters of neighborhood aesthetics, bail, $25,000. Restraining order, 500 feet from my property. The local news ran with the headline, "HOA president goes too far." At trial, my video was the prosecution's centerpiece. Two neighbors testified they'd seen her loitering near my driveway that night. Her defense tried for temporary insanity due to stress, but the knife, the brick, and the paint pointed to careful planning. The jury? Less than 2 hours to decide, guilty on all counts. When it was my turn to speak, I told the court what this had cost me: insurance nightmares, missed work, and the sickening feeling of being targeted just for my success. Neighbors backed me up. Mrs. Chen testified she'd been fined for too many flowers. Mr. Peterson produced an email where Karen threatened legal action over his daughter's pastel bicycle. The judge, a no-nonsense woman, delivered the verdict: 18 months in county jail, possible reduction to 9 months for good behavior, 3 years. Probation 500 hours of community service. Full restitution, $32,700 punitive damages, $25,000 legal fees, $12,000 permanent ban from serving on any HOA board in the state. When the judge mentioned wage garnishment and asset seizure, Karen's knees buckled. Her lawyer had to hold her up. As the bailiff cuffed her, Karen screamed about how she was protecting the neighborhood, insisting luxury cars didn't belong here. The courtroom doors swung shut behind her, but her voice, shrill and indignant, echoed. Even after she was gone. Unbelievable, right? If watching a power-drunk HOA president finally get her comeuppance made you smile, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want more true stories where karma comes calling, subscribe to Explainer By. I've got plenty more jaw-dropping twists coming your way.